Welcome, brothers. Welcome, sisters. Welcome to our program On Target. And as usual, as soon as we start this program, you can pick up a telephone and give us a call. We never have a subject matter. We speak about anything. Politics, religion, socioeconomic issues, any issue trending, any topical issue of the day, we speak about it. We encourage you to express your views and opinion. You can ask questions. Remember, our opinion is not cast in stone. My opinion is based upon the information I have. If I have new information, I change in my opinion. Particularly where politics is concerned, I express my opinion on all issues where politics is concerned. We have a good democratic system in this country. We must use it. The democratic system gives us power. It gives us power to make certain those in public life is accountable. Grenada have about almost 30 individuals of group or organization have license to have radio station. From time to time, you might have more than 20 operating. And we have social media. And people can establish their own podcasts and go on YouTube and Facebook. There is no issue about freedom here. We have freedom. What we need to do is to use it. If you don't use it, you're going to lose it. We don't have to be disrespectful to one another. All of us fall short of the glory of God. We're not perfect, so we don't have to disrespect people. I always try to be soft on politicians, because politicians are some of the deepest thinkers in this country, and they are under the greatest examination. They are criticized the most. But the very means that they're in public office tells you, as Michael Battis would say, eggs have no place in rock stone dance. More often than not, you hear those who come in politics say they come to help people. And generally, they use the marginalized, the people in the lower income group, the most vulnerable, as the excuse why they come in politics. They always give the impression that it's not themselves. And we have not put very many of them under scrutiny. Later on, you see they always talking about issues that affect to them personally. When they wanted to sell themselves to you, they say it's about you, it's not about me. I'm making sacrifice for you. And sometimes, all the time, they use the public. In my lifetime, I've seen two good, strong political leaders in Grenada. Eric Matthew Gary and Kit Mitchell. And I believe these two are two of the most genuine politicians and political leaders. They have withstood sustained criticism, but they are the two most democratic leaders. Why do I say that? Eric Gary ran in politics leadership for about 13 and a half years. When he felt he was challenged within, he called election. The next politician that did that was Kit Mitchell. When Dr. Kit Mitchell felt he was challenged within, he called election. He wanted a new mandate. When Mr. Blaze felt he was challenged within, he prorogued Parliament. When Tillman Thomas felt he was challenged within, he prorogued Parliament. I hear individuals mount serious criticism against Kit Mitchell and Eric Gary. And every time I have an opportunity, I quiz them. It is always on some personal issues. Something they wanted. Some privilege that the leaders say you can't get. You can't get on more grounds. I can't give you. How you gonna look? I can't support you to do that. The people going to be against you in every instance. More often than not, when people turn against these individuals, it's never about policy, strategy, ideology, technique. It's about personal issues. Yes, caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, caller, welcome.
Um, we have a burning issue. It is an age-old one that I believe too often we sweep under the carpet and fail to address. The issue of rape. Uh, some people I hear give it another name and say, uh, whatever, braff.
What are the other
But,
names?
huh?
What are the other names?
The other name I heard came up in a conversation, that of braff, and I mean, I
Braff.
still don't subscribe to that.
Well,
Whatever
braff
you
is,
call it,
yeah,
it
braff
is
is different from rape.
bad. It is bad for any parent, any young woman, I mean, any mother, whoever it happens to. It is not an easy situation. And we as parents, as caregivers, have a responsibility to discipline our boys, talk to them, grow them in the proper way. Sometimes they may fail or falter, but there is no reason to give up. And I believe society have a part to play because too often we have any old conversation. If you have the children growing up and according to the way in which they dress, you hear they describe them as, even a little child. You look sexy, or you're being sexy, and I mean, we need to stop it. So many times it happens. You have that of incest. We sweep it under the carpet and feel that nobody should know. But it is there and it is eating away our families, it's digging into our flesh. And if you do it, incest is with the family and you're doing it inside and you cover it, eventually it's going to spill over, it's going to go into the community and other people's lives would be affected. When you do things like that, you're affecting the community, the business place that is having the activity. You instilling fear in people of wanting to go there because of that. And these things have rippling effects, and we ought to look at it. And we need to have conversation and just stop. Find ways we can help our young boys, our young girls, those that are parents that are falling by the wayside and not taking their responsibility serious. We have to find ways to deal with it because it's not easy and it's going to come home to us. It's going to affect our own children in the community. You're talking about, having a business. I mean, it's an area that I'm used to. I lived there for
That's
years.
your area.
That's my home. And for all of the years, over 20 years, I've never been attacked, even going home alone at night. So you have a different generation, and you also have that of disrespect. Because if you know one, two, three, seeing or being part of it, and not one could say no. You have a mother, you have a sister, you have a cousin. I mean, would you like that to happen to them? It is not easy. It is not nice. And I beg of us to think and do the right thing. Have a great day,
Caller,
Mr. Pierre.
don't run away, caller. It's an interesting topic that we have avoided and afraid to talk about. And every time the topic come, we go straight to the males. And yes, the males are the one that are the ones that actually do it.
Not just the males.
But what do you think about people educating the females about the possibility that they could be raped and how to prevent it?
This is a matter that we really need to address too. And it doesn't, really start with the males because the males have mothers and they play an integral part in the upbringing of their sons. So some way, somehow, it reflects on us. What do you say to your boy child when he aggressively attack, his sister or a cousin? there are cases where children has conflict in communities, and you find, let's say, parents go into larger complaint, and instead of dealing with the issue, they turn around and curse that person. Are you helping the problem or solving, the problem? Or you making that son feel that it is okay to do it again? Or are you going to address it and seek help for your son? What does the school do when these children come with this attitude and this behavior? We have guidance counselors in school. Do we refer to them and get help? They need help. You can just go about, throwing yourself on people like that. The whole, community is affected. I remember when you're growing up, you're younger, you say a certain man, rape a man outside jail, and people afraid to go, but there are certain guys that would stand up and look to see, how they could help defend. The community must come together and address that situation. Because if they go to prison and they didn't get the proper counseling and the right help, they come out again, what happens? Everybody, all hands on deck, we must address it in a positive way.
Yes, thank you, Colin. It's a very important topic.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Colin. It's a topic. I always say this color brings around the soft side in me. Sometimes when she call, I always welcome her call. The question of rape. We have not spent enough time educating our boys and girls about rape. When a rape incident takes place, this country fly out of hand. And you hear people say, juke them, kill them, hang them up by the balls, fire them, poison them. All sort of hypocritical outbursts. But rape, 3 of the top 10 recorded rape rates in the world occur in the Caribbean. 3 of the top 10 recorded rape rates in the world occur in the Caribbean. The world average for rape is about 15 person per 100,000. But in the Bahamas, it is 133. In St. Vincent the Grenadines, it is 112. In Jamaica, 51. In Dominica, 34. In Barbados, 25. And in Trinidad and Tobago, 18. Let me repeat that. 3 of the top 10 recorded rape rates in the world occur in the Caribbean. So definitely, at one time they were saying South Africa was the rape capital of the world. Now, rape has always been with us. When one side conquered in war, women were considered as the spoils of war, and they were raped. The men were slaughtered and killed. The women was raped. And young children were sometimes incorporated in the society as slaves. Japan, they use women from other countries, Papua New Guinea, Australia, and other countries to satisfy the army. So they collected women. I think they used to call them pleasure women or what. And they dropped them for the army to have a good time. Yes, caller, welcome.
Hey, good afternoon. Mr.
Yes,
Pierre.
caller, welcome.
Afternoon. Mr. Pierre, I want to ask you a question.
Go right ahead.
You have a son or you have children, then they want to go into business, okay? But they don't have the money. But you are the father, you have some money put aside. You will borrow them the money, or right, to go into the business. Okay, but that means, but when you borrow them, that means that pay back, right? So now, okay, what advice will you give to them if they want to be a successful businessman, a businessman that will people will look upon them as a businessman of integrity, right?
Yeah.
I want to hear the other part of it, but I don't hear you.
You want to hear my response?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I always encourage people to, particularly young people, to have more than one source of income and get involved in business. And I also advocate that parents should help their children, give them the first risk capital, to provide risk capital for the children. So it means most time we hear business, we think about thousands of dollars, but sometimes it could be small amount that parents could manage. And then I also encourage that parents should work together, pool money together, and help to invest in their children. You have to stick with it. You have to be committed. And a lot of time people start business, but they're not committed because it involves hard work. And some children could even get parents to get if you have a business venture, get your parents involved as a partner. Because if you don't have capital, the parents have the capital.
Yeah.
So if you get them involved as a partner and work together, your chances of success might be much greater. So generally, I encourage along that line.
Okay, all right. Why I ask the question? Like you are the father, you are the one that has the capital, that have the capital. You lend them money, they have to pay you back. All right? So you see, one of the things that to be a successful businessman, like when you have a business flourishing, the profit from that you supposed to use some of that money to help expand your business. All right? But if every time you want to expand your business, you go in and have to borrow money, that's something wrong, that you're not managing what you have properly. And if he coming back to you and ask you for, like he owe you and he don't pay you back, when he coming from you, will you continue to lend him?
No, well, you think a joke would make money?
You understand?
Because obviously, in the videos, you make a profit in the business, there must be a percentage that you plow back in the business.
Exactly.
I think one of the challenges, sometimes people overextend themselves and they use business as a means of showing off.
Showing off.
You know.
Yeah.
And then you could, all young people who comes from the community and involved in business, I would always encourage them to have discussion with successful people in business. My son is involved in business. He has a little business. He started up X. It's about $25,000. But you encourage them to have discussion with people in business.
Yeah, then one of the
You can't just burying yourself in loan and doing stupidness.
No. Because you see, the problem is getting a loan. It should not be on you how people look at you as a person in society. Okay, once you lend money from financial institution and you pay back, no financial institution will have a problem with you.
No. The financial institution glad.
They're glad because
and they want to see you track record. They want to see how you're progressing, and they will give you more money.
More money. But
you don't have a problem.
But if they have a problem with you, how could you go back there and still getting money, and then you want to blame the person? You shouldn't blame the person because the person who will lend you the money know that you have a track record and still give him back money. So you have to blame. You're just like a shopkeeper.
Yeah, the financial institution would know that you're not doing well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then you, as the father himself here, should not always have to come and bail out your children.
Well, the father shouldn't, you know.
He shouldn't.
That's what we call venture capital. You know, there is a greater risk in venture capital. And very early, you should encourage your children to get involved in business. But when the children in the bank themselves provide some form of monitoring.
Yeah.
Because they will find out if you're paying your taxes.
Exactly.
The bank would ask that. And then the bank would watch you overdraft, watch your savings in the bank.
Yeah.
And then the bank would question you, you know. Yeah.
So you see, now let us say that when you look at what's going on in our country,
you want to make a political bill.
That was the case here.
Yeah, some of the things that are going on is not business, man. This thing is just a cesspit of corruption. That's crazy. Yeah. Some of the issues that go on with the government, with all this. The government basically take their shopping bag and go and shop in the government coffers. What's going on there is obscene. It's objectionable. And the worst issue is those people who believe that they were custodian of morality and now they're silent. You can't do that. You have 9 ministers of government, and some of them, including some of the top echelons of the present government, seems to believe that the government coffers is the place they should go and shop. Why do I say that? Starting from the Prime Minister. Based upon the information on the internet, the Prime Minister is an agent for selling passport. And based upon the legislation, based upon common decency, based upon scruple and morality, you cannot be an agent to sell passport, but you are the final authority to authorize that passport. That have to be right. The Prime Minister and his ministers, not the Prime Minister, but it seems as though ministers are getting loan in financial institutions that they ought not to get loan on, and the Prime Minister, it seems, have used the power to intimidate the board managers to give them loan. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Good day, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, my brother.
Good day to Target. Yeah, very interesting topic about the rape issue and the status that we have in the statistics.
Too powerful topic. You wish you could have stayed on one,
Yeah.
But that's all right.
But you see, as you always say, education begins at the home, and 90% of our lives we spend basically at school.
Yeah.
So we learn what we see, and we see what we learn.
Yeah.
What I will say with that is, Mr. Pierre, you didn't rape nobody. I didn't rape nobody. I mean, there are people that do it. And I believe this can come with power. People that feel they can become powerful, they will on the weak. You remember yesterday I was talking about being an adult and the explanation of being a bully. And these are the things. People will pray on the weak and they will do things, right? So that's where it goes, right? Let me talk about the second part where you're talking about this order of monies and stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Accountability will never, ever, ever be met once people don't admit they're at fault. There's a saying, who alleges must prove guilt, not so?
Yeah.
Right. If you look at America right now, you see the former president, the case he had with defamation, the lady won a case, he has to pay $5 million. Now we are seeing the congressman from New York has been indicted. Do you know the Speaker of the House? The Speaker of the Republican Party is still denying and still supporting these two men. So put that into the model of the Grenadian politics and the Grenadian politician right now.
I've listened to you a number of times try to compare the Republican with this group of individuals. And I don't think it's a fair comparison. What these individuals doing, I mean, it's clearly a straightforward, clearly either they are juveniles, they're behaving as people without sense. Because these things is clear.
This is what I'm saying. I model them as that particular party because, trust me, if you look at how that party operates in America, they're not operating like juveniles. They're operating bluntly in your face. They're doing it. My God, Mr. Pierre, you tell me you have over 200 mass shootings with AR-15 guns, and there are Republicans downplaying this thing as normal and what they say is mental health, and
but if
that's not a problem, brother.
Yeah, but a couple of years ago, the Rifle Association, when they had a couple shooting, the Rifle Association said more people in America are dying from doctor mistake than gunshot wounds.
Yeah.
They say, why are they going to ban doctors? They advance the argument that more people is dying in America from doctor's mistake. I have a friend in Grenada and him studied together. The man had had to do a heart bypass or something. They cut out his foot. They say he was wrong.
Mr. Pierre, that is serious. And lastly, before I go, the Minister of National Security, who happens to be the Prime Minister, right? They are and like normal NEC, they always blaming about this and that. They say this guy owe money for a cell phone. They can't arrest him yet. They say the NMP get not 290, 300,000 because that prime minister went on a radio station in Caribou and he actually mentioned that $10,000 was given to the finders. So they have a finder's fee of 10,000. So it's actually 300,000. And I have recorded where he said that. So you the member of the National Security Minister, and you cannot bring indictments to these guys yet? If I was in that position, judgment is coming forward immediately. Mr. Pierre,
but Caller, remember, in 2008, they said within 8 to 9 days, Scotland Yard and FBI would be in the country. One of the lawyers had to apologize and say he just said for political reasons.
Not only one, but 5 of them is saying the same thing. Anyhow, Mr. Pierre, have a good afternoon.
Yes, thank you. Interesting topics that we must sit down and discuss. And I like sometimes the partner always use United States of America, and sometimes you could refer to the Democrats in doing awkward things. So yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, good afternoon.
Great man, welcome.
Yes. Mr. Pierre, history has proven that there are 2 political parties that cared for the low-income bracket people, the ULP and the NNP. And the 2 best leaders that passed is Sir Eric Matugeri and the Right Honorable Dr.
No challenge to that. No challenge.
No challenge.
And they attracted the most envy and most criticism in this country.
And personal attack.
Yeah.
Just the standing for the low income bracket people. Yes.
Yeah.
Mr. Pierre, when you really look at it and you see when people been told election time, people been told, you remember what happened 2008 and people was warned and all kind of promises and all kind of different promises. Oh, we come for you and we go defend you and we gonna give you that. And Mr. Pierre, today I heard a gentleman, giving a testimony on that, He say, if at all they will come now and what they said before the election, they say no, they won't get a vote. Because they realize it's tomfoolery. When you look at the situation now.
That is after the fact.
Yes. Mr. Pierre, when you look at the cut in the seed money with our senior people. Yes.
That is sacrilege.
Oh my goodness.
That is heartless. Unacceptable.
Tears gone down my eyes.
No,
when
it's
I
unacceptable.
Many of them, their water been disconnected.
That is disgraceful.
Hey.
I don't think there is any other political party in the Caribbean that has ever done that.
Hey. And when you look at it, some of them, the 150, they could have tell you they were able to go and purchase the medication, water and medication for survival of man,
You heard the cry of the girl in Union?
Yes.
She called on the phone, her mother called, she gave her telephone number and she called back.
Yes.
And that doesn't move the National Democratic Congress.
No. But when you ask them what is the cost of all the travels, up to now they can't come and explain that yet. Look, the Prime Minister, we're waiting to hear from him in a press conference about the trip from Dubai.
I give up on that. I don't waste time with hearing him.
But Mr. Pierre,
I don't waste time on that at all.
Coming from England, we don't even hear, they went back and renegotiated that money.
A lot of the journalists in Grenada, my respect for them have been diluted when the Prime Minister said information is based upon need to know, and they didn't shout out against it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Pierre, I'm telling the NNP party to continue on that good path and be focused. And the Grenadian people, you see what's taking place, and I know this government is very heartless. And regardless to what
regardless to what, the picture is there, and we are seeing who the interest of. And all those we go hear more who going with a shopping list to the Grenada Development Bank, but we continue asking them, come and clear the air. Come and clear the air and give reasons why they have to give ministers all this amount of money, and then the poor farmers and so on down there and other people livelihood can't get it. And Mr. Pierre, one gentleman told me yesterday, a vendor, he said to me, I don't know if that is, I could stand corrected, that the Prime Minister came, Monday morning, some morning, to visit them when they hardly had vendors there. So he's telling me that he believed that he came there to take a photograph to put on Facebook to say he come there. Because that coming day, he should have come Saturday at that time when he will meet all the vendors there, and really reach us. So that was a fake trip. Thank you, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, scholar, and we have to acknowledge the fact that politics would take a new direction in terms of the social media. So you will see more and more politicians trying to get a picture on social media. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr.
Welcome.
Pierre.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm the mother of the lady in union, Shirley Ann Robertson.
Yes.
I just want the entire nation to know that Shirley Ann listening and involved with this program 8 years now. The radio that she's listening is that station that gave her this last radio because she is in crisis and she could not buy a radio. When they came to deliver the radio to her, she had the episode of packing because sometimes in the day she shakes a lot and she was she couldn't come out to receive the radio that everyone see her face to face, eye to eye. So it's not now she's involved with the radio station. So people might want to brand her and say the whole thing is about politics. She is used to the radio station, and everybody that is on the radio station, everybody will tell her hello. So I just throw that out.
Yeah.
And I want to say another thing concerning about this rape or incest and whatever this come under. The biggest thing that could happen to especially a woman, a girl, child, a female, the biggest hatred one could have from maybe the whole village is when you take the right direction and you go to the court to have the perpetrator convicted, the village
turn on you.
The village. Even the people that going to church and they say them is God, them and all against you. I could tell you that. I'm speaking from experience. Good evening and have a blessed evening.
Yes, bye-bye. Thank you, caller. So the questions of rape is real. Yes, caller, welcome. Yes, caller, welcome. All right, we lost that caller. The question of rape is real. I've said on my program quite a lot that 60% of the household are led by women. And I believe women have to do more to fight for the children. Women have to do more to protect the children. Women have to do more to defend the children. Women have to do more to take on the system. Yes, caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yeah, welcome.
I never say a man have right to rape a woman. But the thing what we got to do as women and girls, dress properly. If you dress properly, you don't attract people because they see you with your long dress, your long skirt, so they don't looking at you. But if you watch how some of us dressing, modern to the same way to go the road, you know. You attract people. So how we are saying nobody didn't say the man have right to do what they do. But if you put out yourself properly, they will look at you like that. You dress with your top outside, your belly outside. I see little girls that maybe, I don't know if they're to school, if they leave school already, their nose is past, their navel is past. Mr. Pierre, come on. And as they do that, they put a tattoo on the leg, they put a tattoo on the chest, and they putting it out for you. You are now, if you see somebody riding in your van, foot exposed, you wouldn't, you drive in, but you're paying attention of what you see.
Caller, sometimes I get turned off. Caller, the how a woman dress does not necessarily attract rape. And let me tell you why. There are women in the Islamic countries, they tie up all their eyes. You can't even see their eyes. You would shock to know the amount of incidents of rape that is there.
I watch all these
Caller,
news.
almost 80% of the women who rape know their attackers. In addition to that, if you go to, there are a number of women in Africa who walk bare-breasted, who dance bare-breasted, and there are hardly incidents of rape in the Caribbean. The Caribbean Ark used to have a cupra, and there are hardly incidents of rape. It's a mentality, it's a culture, and we need to educate both sections.
And next topic, Mr. Pierre. You ever hear you growing up as a man, you ever hear a political leader lend money say after a constituency? You ever hear that?
What do you do? You learn what?
He lend money to help the people in the community. A caller said that this morning.
You lend money to help people in the community?
Yes, that's what he's saying.
I don't know.
First time I hear in this kind of thing.
I know people.
They say the man go and borrow money. Which the man borrow the money to help the people?
No, man, no. That is nonsense, man.
Mr. Pierre, you didn't listen to the program.
No, these people took money from the bank to enrich themselves. They use the bank as a means to shop. They believe because they are in the legislature, they have the authority to get things free. They are vultures.
Mr. Pierre, the bank always looking to you. You're working, and they have to know where your income coming in when you hear they give you the borrow. Bank don't give borrow like that because they know they want back the money. And if a man work, would maintain himself to do what he got to do. You don't put yourself in big expense because you know how you get in your pay. You know how much is your pay. So I don't see where, whatever you didn't, when you're doing business and you was in a debt, you get work, take your money and do what you have to do if you know you owe the bank. I don't know why you have to go and borrow.
And caller, that is what is wrong about when they're saying government can run things. Because you set up a board, and the board not supposed to let the Minister of Finance intimidate them to make wrong decisions.
And Mr. Pierre, all you have done, please tell the government that work for his people. The people and them in this Grenada here haven't got a job. We need working condition. I used to watch on the TV when Dr. Mitchell in power. Everybody saying the employment rate is high. So where the employment rate is low?
But you see, caller, the Grenadians must know, they must know that the National Democratic Congress have a history of not making jobs. They have a history of firing people.
And a lot of us, just as they say, a lot of us battling with remote shot.
Well, obviously, some people shock because they don't know the NDC history.
Oh, you mean they don't know, Mr. Pierre?
Well, they forget.
Well, them like fall when you tell the fall coming.
Yes, every time you put sugar out, you get fly.
The fall turning back and coming back.
But remember what they promise. They promise permanent jobs.
That is the thing.
But they say you could get it with the stroke of a pen.
I listen people keep Michelle lose election by not paying pension. Mr. Pierre, you hear permanent, you hear raise a pay, you hear them things
and plus that they say kit old and it long.
I don't understand.
And you have to remember that the Kit Mitchell and the NNP is the only political party that beats somebody on 3 occasions all the seats in the whole Commonwealth.
Well, that is why they fighting him. You know why?
So the NDC came out, you know, fine on all plugs.
Every time you hear Facebook have weapon, the weapon because they know they only balling retire, resign. Where Kit Mitchell?
But you cannot. But Carla, you cannot blame the opposition to try to get out your best batsman and your best bowler.
Well, I don't understand.
If you get him out before the game starts, you're in a better position.
You in a better position?
So if the NDC is able to get Kit to go home, they're in a better position.
That is it. So that you're telling you, Dr. Kit Mitchell is a weapon.
But the only problem is
only retire, resign.
A lot of NNP believe that too.
To retire. So they have the weapon. So anytime you hear what they say, Mr. Pierre, election call tomorrow morning. 15 again, you know.
Well, now you're going to make them fight to get rid of Kit again. Yes, interesting topic, finance. We have 2 topics on now, running them simultaneously. One of the issues, the government is using the government coffers as a supermarket. Yes, Color Punch.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes,
How are you?
Color Punch. Yeah.
All is well?
Great, man. Good to hear you. and we have 2 good topics here this morning, rape and the financial institution.
Yeah, so I was a bit tickled on the rape one.
Yeah, this one, we must spend a lot of time on the question of rape.
Right.
Yeah.
Because for us is a real social and cultural thing. And as I listen to the different, the different takes people are having on it, one of it just kind of riled me up, so to speak. So I guess me taking a while to get through kind of helped me a bit to calm down. So here's what it is, because I'm responding to a couple things I heard. But one thing I heard in particular I would like to address. Rape is not about desire. Rape is not about desire. You cannot desire a human being and rape them. Desire is a warm, fuzzy feeling. Rape is about power. Rape is about dominance. Rape is about control. And the psychologists and therapists and other people who are wired to deal with the brain, they may even tell you someone who has a propensity to rape may have a mental illness. Now, about how women dress.
Has nothing to do with it.
That is crazy.
It has nothing to do with rape.
And that's it. Because it's not about desire. Yeah. People of all ages and appearances are raped, Mr. Pierre.
Yes.
All ages and appearances.
Yeah.
That is from those who are naked, to those who wear thongs, to those who are fully dressed.
Those who are old and sick on a bed.
Right, exactly.
Tie up in bandage on a bed.
Correct. Yeah. We saw the situation not so long ago about the lady in Grenville.
Yeah,
the older lady.
It has nothing to do with it.
She was raped twice. It has nothing to do with that. All ages and appearances are raped. All classes are raped. All cultures are raped. Yeah. People of all abilities, genders, because men and boys are raped too.
Yeah.
of different sexuality, gay or straight, races and religions. Rape is an act of violence.
Violence.
Nothing about the perceived
No,
attractiveness or not
no.
about a victim. And I want our women to. It's like we are when we say that how we dress causes this. We are implicitly giving credence to it. Not in 2023. We have to unlearn and relearn. It's wrong. Even our husbands and our partners, if we don't consent to it, it is rape. Come on.
Because I think sometimes because we don't want to take time off to discuss this issue,
We
and
have
sometimes
to.
you find men shy away from it because immediately the men get blamed. So sometimes they come out with the first thing is how to dress. But when you speak to these men, continue. I think they really want to come and say, how do the woman prevent herself? Because in
But my
some
clothing-
instances, some women could avoid it. Avoid it in the sense that, okay, I get my pay and I drink rum, and according to where I go, they're going to thief me. And there are some women you go out in a crowd and you have to be mindful that you are a target and there are people outside there who could rape you. So there are places you avoid going. Places you avoid going alone. Sometimes the first attack, the first defense is to use all your energy to draw attention to you. Rather than somebody tell you, let's move on from here. And you walk quietly away with them.
Yeah.
And maybe all these discussions have to take place with people.
Yeah, but we also have to be cognizant of the fact that people have the right to drink alcohol and they don't have the right to be assaulted.
I agree.
And rape is assault.
I agree.
And with your point that you don't go into places where you know that you can or it can happen. Because, I mean, in Grenada here, in our culture, Mr. Pierre, we glorify what we call brothing. What's brothing? It's gang rape.
Yes, it's
Brothing is gang rape. We sing about it. You sit down in a rum shop and you hear men boast. They broth so and so down the road.
But they sing songs.
These are the things.
And
We play songs on the radio.
And some
about
women
it.
enjoying it. And even the radio.
Men are the first people
Sometimes
to
you're
jump up
shocked
and
when
enjoy
I
it.
hear radio personalities
Correct.
playing these songs.
Correct.
Because you practically encourage it.
Nobody deserves to be raped.
No.
Nobody deserves to be raped.
The-
And
the-
because a person is drunk or they take drugs, that does not mean that they're looking for or they're willing to have sex. They are in a weakened position because they're not thinking clearly,
vulnerable.
and they are vulnerable.
And the vultures prey.
Correct.
And that's what it is.
And we have to look at, and oftentimes you find that sometimes we, the onlookers, we can see trouble brewing.
And we could protect it.
And we could, correct, and we do not step in.
We do not step in.
We do not step in.
Yeah.
So my sisters out there who keep talking about the clothing we wear, my choice of clothing does not put me in any position to get raped.
No, it's not the clothing.
And
It has
I
nothing
go
to do
back
with
to the
clothing.
fact that men who rape is not from desire. Rape is from control and dominance, and therapists, psychologists, and other people might even tell you about mental illness that leads people to rape people. Right? And
Yes,
it's
Scott.
very dark, and people never get over rape.
No, I think the sister
People
was
never
trying
get
to
over it.
describe it, and she said big and worse, but there are so much other adjectives I
Correct.
know she wanted to add
Yes.
towards
correct.
it. Yeah.
Correct. Thanks for the time.
Yes, Colin, I think we
Take care.
must continue this topic, and I'm going to make an effort on the program sometime or the other, every now and then, to introduce the topic of rape and how do we manage it, how do we prevent it, how do we avoid it, how do we educate our people to protect our people from incidents of rape. But Colonel, yes, it's an important issue. Somebody go to a function, somebody go to a party, and then they are lured, they are tricked, they are brought around, and they are taken advantage of. And a woman will tell you this is the worst thing that could happen to a woman. The scars, the memory affect them all their life. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre.
Yes, caller,
it's
welcome.
nice topic, and the lady who just called, she explained it very well. But one thing you guys didn't talk about, rape starts sometimes inside the house. Even with the fathers, and the children telling their mother, look what dad is doing or what the stepdad is doing. And the mother, because she don't want to lose her man, she don't pay attention to that. You know how many children in Grenada and the rest of the world who've been pregnant by their own parents inside the house? And we must talk about all those things. You understand? Because that child grew up and never been the same again, Mr. Pierre. I could tell you that from experience, because never been the same. The child is so cold. And some of them just give away their body because they have no use in the world anymore. You understand? So we must talk about those things. We just can't just sit back, oh, you rape and this and that. You understand what I mean? It's nothing to do with the woman. It's the man who have a problem. And some of them mothers, they don't want to say themselves have to be blamed. Because sometimes the child is telling them something and they're not listening. They're not listening. And when things happen, they're trying to say, she had a mind on her own, and he have a mind on his own. That's not the case. The child comes to you and says something to you. Pay attention to what the child is saying. Listen. You're so studying the man that you're not studying the child in the house. And we have to stop all these things. Have a good day, Mr. P.
Yes, and when these incidents take place, you hear a lot of emotional outbursts. And after a time, it dies down again. What we need to do is to sit down and discuss these issues and discuss it with a view where we could educate our children. We have our young girls in our home, and we always felt, I believe that we have the most control on our daughters between 0 and 12 years. We have the most control on our sons between 0 and 14 years. That is my own view of it. And a lot of time should be spent on these topics. Most times we discuss the topics, we seem to immediately attack the males and the fathers. And the fathers prefer not to take part in the discussion. The reality is that the incidence of rape in the Caribbean is very high. Sometimes as soon as you say rape, people say incest. There are incidents of incest that is not rape. There are incidents of incest where family members end up having relationship with one another, but they are consenting individuals, they're elderly people. The question of rape go through all boundaries. It is also used at times as the spoils of war. Women become victims. In the society, there are times when people have to be very protective of your girls. Yes, no one should interfere with you, whether you're drunk, whether you're sleeping, whether you're naked, irrespective of how you dress. No one should do it. But you and I know that if you get your pay and you go down the road and you drink rum, there is a good chance they might take your pay from you if you get drunk. Yes, caller, welcome. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yes, good afternoon.
Yes, my brother.
Yes, good afternoon. Yes, Mr. Pierre. I think law enforcement, the enforcement of the law has to be a factor in the prosecution of this rapist, especially when it comes to child molestation. So yeah, I think they're getting, because the last case that made a major scandal was right before the COVID, I think, in Grenada, where a guy came from the U.S. and molested a child. And he got away basically scot-free. And it was the outcry of people here who reached out to the prosecution, the FBI and NYPD, that got the guy arrested. And he's now, I believe he's doing 10 years in jail here. But in Grenada, he got away with paying a $1,000 fine. And he was able to escape and come back here without being properly prosecuted. And it was an outrage. So and actually the judge who sat on the case was a female judge. That's what was really shocking, to see how she let this predator loose on a slap on the wrist. I believe I would like you to expound on the last hanging for a rapist in Grenada. I think there was a guy by the name of KK. There was an incident many in the 70s. If you could shed some light on that.
It's way back in the 70s.
You know, I'm sorry?
It's way back in the 70s. They had a
okay.
activity in the college in St. George's. I remember as a young individual, we were in a group. But we had strict instructions from the group that no one must function alone. And no girls must go out by themselves alone. And we must function in a group. So even that night we were down in the college. And there were women from our group. But the instruction then, that when you go out, you always function in a group. And that is why I say sometimes, you could have your money and say, it's my money. I could do what I want with it. I could go where I want with it. But sometimes you have to be careful where you go. You cannot unduly expose yourself. You know? So there must be actions that we take. I think that was the last hanging case of rape. But, you know, I believe that there are a lot of incidents that could be avoided. People talk about the law, and you make mention to that case. I believe the magistrate dealt with the information that was before her at the time. The magistrate dealt with the information that was before her at the time. In the United States, I believe the individual plead guilty. Maybe if they had to deal with the same information the magistrate had in Grenada, the individual would have walked scot-free. They make a big thing about it. But if they had to deal with the same information the magistrate in Grenada had, the individual might have walked free. In the United States, I believe he pleaded guilty. It's a whole different story, you know. But I challenge our people. There will always be incident of rape. We could seriously reduce the incidents if we recognize the fact that women are a target and women could be raped. You know, based upon what you do, where you go, it is not how you dress, but you have to be careful and you have to do more to protect yourself. And we come to the end of our program, and that's what happens when you're speaking about rape and at the same time you're speaking about government shopping in government coffers. Thank you. We'll be with you tomorrow again between 12 and 1. Thank you.